All right, everybody, welcome back. Get ready, because today we are taking a deep dive into something pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be talking about an AI called Kimi 1.5.
Kimi 1.5.
Now, you may or may not have heard of this one, but this is some pretty groundbreaking stuff we're looking at, based on the excerpts at least.
Yes, it is. It is.
So what's so special about Kimi? I mean, there's a lot of AI models out there, right?
Right. So there's a lot of buzz around this one, right?
Yeah.
And for a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah.
So first of all, Kimi is entirely free to use.
That's a big one.
That's huge. Nobody else is doing that.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal, especially if you're, maybe an individual or a smaller company and you don't have, thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to be throwing around on these expensive subscriptions.
Right.
So, what else? What else is really special about this?
So it's incredibly powerful.
Okay.
And there are some, technical reasons for this, and we'll get into those.
Yeah.
But it's already outperforming some of the really big names.
Okay.
Like GPT-4.
Oh, wow.
Claude.
That's the Google one, right?
That's the Google one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really
making some waves.
It's shaking things up. Yeah.
All right. So let's take a step back for just 1 sec and kind of just define what we're even talking about here.
Yeah.
Right? So
okay.
What can Kimi actually do? Like if I fired this thing up right now,
okay.
What could I ask it to do?
Well, the excerpts highlight a few key areas.
Okay.
Where Kimi really excels.
Yeah.
And that's math.
Okay.
Coding.
Mm-hmm.
And image analysis.
So it can look at a picture and tell you what's in it.
Yes, it can analyze images. It can understand them.
Okay.
And what's even more impressive is that it doesn't just do these things separately.
Okay.
It can actually process text, visuals, and code.
All together
at the same time.
At the same time.
That's what we call being multimodal.
Multimodal, okay.
It's kind of like how we as humans experience the world, right?
Right.
We don't just see things, we hear things, we read things.
Yeah.
We put it all together to understand the bigger picture.
Right. So give me an example of how this all comes together with Kimi.
Okay, so imagine a researcher who's trying to understand a complicated scientific paper.
Okay.
Now, Kimi can not only process the text of that paper, but it can also analyze
any charts and graphs that might be in there.
Exactly. Any accompanying charts, graphs, diagrams, and it can even pull in information
from the web
in real time.
So it can fact check and make sure.
It can do all that.
Okay.
It's like having a super powered research assistant.
Wow. So you're saying a research paper that might have a diagram.
Yeah.
Of a molecule or something like that?
Absolutely.
It could analyze that diagram?
It can analyze the structure of that molecule. It can compare it to other molecules.
And it can compare it to stuff it finds on the web.
Yes. It can access an incredible amount of information.
That's pretty nuts.
It is.
It's pretty crazy. And we're talking about how many different kinds of files can it handle?
From what I've read, it can handle over 50 different file types.
50. Stuff that we use every day, right?
Yes, like PDFs, presentations, spreadsheets, code files, all sorts of things.
So that's just crazy to think about, that you could just feed this thing like a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
And it can, and you can make sense of that.
Absolutely.
Like we do.
It's really breaking down the barriers between how we interact with information and how AI interacts with information.
Okay, so we've talked about its ability to take in information and process it, analyze it.
Yeah.
But what about its ability to learn and grow?
So that's where reinforcement learning comes in.
Okay, so that's a big buzzword these days, reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
Explain that one to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so imagine you're learning to play a new video game.
Okay, I like video games.
At first, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't know the controls, you don't know the strategies.
Right.
But through trial and error, you start to figure things out.
Yeah.
You get better. You learn the best strategies.
Right.
Kimi works in a similar way.
Yep.
It gets feedback.
Okay.
And it refines its approach until it achieves mastery.
So it's basically learning by doing. And it's getting rewarded.
It's getting rewarded for
right answers.
For correct answers, and it's learning from its mistakes.
And the more it does that,
yes,
the better it gets.
Okay,
so this reinforcement learning allows it to do some pretty complex stuff.
Yeah, it allows it to tackle those really challenging problems.
Okay.
By breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
So it's kind of like if you have a huge puzzle, you don't just try to put it all together at once, right? You start with small sections, you find the edges, you build it up gradually.
So it's like finding the corner pieces.
Exactly.
And then building from there.
Working your way in.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So this allows Kimi to really take on some impressive tasks.
Okay, so speaking of impressive tasks, I gotta ask you about this MOBA thing.
Oh, MOBA!
Yeah. What is that all about?
So MOBA stands for Mixture of Block Attention.
Okay, so that sounds...
Mouthful.
Yeah, that sounds super technical.
It is.
Break that down for me a little bit.
Okay, so imagine you're sifting through a massive research paper.
Okay.
You wouldn't read every single word.
No, I'd probably just skim it.
You'd skim for the key points.
Right.
That's essentially what MOBA allows Kimi to do.
So it helps it focus.
It helps it to focus on the most relevant information.
Okay.
In a sea of data.
So instead of like reading every single word, it's like...
Yeah, it's like looking at the headings.
Yeah.
It's like looking at the headings, looking at the bold text.
Yeah.
Looking at the pictures, maybe.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's all about efficiency.
Yes. It's about making sure that Kimi is using its resources wisely.
Gotcha.
And not wasting time on irrelevant information.
Okay, so that's part of what allows it to kind of punch above its weight and...
Yes, it's part of what makes it so efficient and powerful.
Compete with these big dogs.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. You mentioned that it's already outperforming some of these other AIs like GPT-4.
It is, particularly in logical reasoning tasks.
Okay.
It scored nearly 75% on the Math Vista benchmark.
Okay, so the Math Vista benchmark, that's like a test, right?
It's a test of problem-solving skills.
Okay.
It's pretty challenging.
For humans.
Yeah.
Let alone for a computer.
Exactly. And Kimi is excelling at it.
So it's better at math than a lot of people.
It's showing some very impressive capabilities in that area.
Okay, so all this, and it's free.
All this, and it's free.
That's kind of wild, right?
It's wild. It's unprecedented.
Like, how is that even possible?
Well, it's really shaking up the industry because a lot of these other AI models, they're behind paywalls, they're expensive. Right. So to have something this powerful, this capable, and completely free to use, it's a game changer.
Yeah. So like, what do you think the long-term implications of that are?
Well, I think it has the potential to really democratize access to AI.
Okay.
For individuals, for researchers, for smaller companies who might not have the resources to pay for these expensive subscriptions.
Yeah.
This opens up a world of possibilities.
So it could lead to like more innovation.
Absolutely, because when more people have access to these tools, they can experiment, they can create, they can innovate. Right. And that could lead to some really amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting thought.
It is. It's an exciting time to be following AI.
It is. All right. So let's kind of wrap things up here.
Okay.
What are the key takeaways that we want people to remember about Kimi 1.5?
Well, first and foremost, it's multimodal.
Okay.
It can analyze all sorts of different files. It can process text, visuals, code all together.
Yeah, it can do real-time web searches.
That's right. It's constantly learning and improving thanks to reinforcement learning.
It's using these cutting-edge techniques like MOBA to be super efficient.
And it's already outperforming some of the biggest names in AI.
And it's free.
All while being completely free.
That's mind-blowing.
It's pretty remarkable.
It's really remarkable. And like you said, it's really an exciting time to be paying attention to all this stuff because who knows what's coming next, right?
I mean, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
How is this going to change things?
Yeah.
How is this going to impact different industries?
Why innovations?
What innovations are going to come out of this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wide open field right now, and
That's a great point.
It's full of possibilities.
It's a great point. Yeah. I think that's something for all of us to kind of think about.
Yeah.
And, maybe come up with our own ideas.
Absolutely.
Because who knows, maybe one of us is going to come up with the next big thing.
Exactly. And with tools like Kimi, it's within reach.
It is. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. I learned a lot.
It's been a pleasure.
I hope you did too. And as always, we encourage you to keep exploring and keep learning. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
For another deep dive
into
the world of AI.